There's a statistic out there that people with ADHD are 300% more likely to start their own businesses. That's crazy, but it makes sense. I mean, we're typically considered to be creative people who have trouble following the rules, so we end up doing it our own way instead. So you want to start your own gig and cut yourself out of the rat race? Welcome to the club, my friend. It died. But which business should you start, especially when you're someone who has a problem sticking to something for the long term? Well, rather than listen to my opinion, I scoured the top ADHD-related subreddits, and these are what respondents said they did for a living as business owners with ADHD. But I can't help myself. I'm going to include a few tips for how to set yourself up for success if any of these appeal to you, and ways you can grow the business to be more than just you. For those who don't know me, welcome. My name is Megan Brame. I'm a 5-time award-winning advanced digital marketing strategist, and I help multi-passion creatives and entrepreneurs with ADHD develop business strategies that create consistent revenue streams across one or multiple businesses. So let's get started. By the way, I'm going to use the phrase platform building in this a lot. What I mean by that is creating a platform that you can then utilize to create more revenue streams, like a YouTube channel or a podcast that has sponsors, merch, affiliate partnerships, stuff like that. So in no particular order, let's get started. You'll run the ad or marketing campaigns for clients. From creation to execution to analysis, your company will be the one in charge of ensuring success for someone else. Things to consider. You'll need to specialize. You can't and shouldn't do all things marketing. Advertising and organic have different areas that should be separate departments at the very least. Your skill set should be designed to be the most powerful it can be in one area. Now, you can decide how far you want that to go. Do you want to be a social marketing manager or a TikTok specialist? It's up to you. Marketing changes constantly, which can be good or bad depending on how interested you are in it, but you do have to stay on top of that. Also, it is being bombarded with AI, which can be a useful tool or put you out of business. So you'll need to navigate how to work in parallel with AI. Also, marketing is typically one of the first areas cut in businesses. So you might have ebbs and flows for your clients, but honestly, any business does. A couple of tips for success: network, especially with similar-minded entrepreneurs that can be good partners. If you're a social media firm, meet advertising entrepreneurs, etc. Learn ways to quickly analyze data, especially historical data. You'll need to know what's worked for your clients, what hasn't, and why. And this is particularly important if your client doesn't know. Teach and do. Case studies and social proof are more important than ever, especially in an industry that many people don't understand. If you're starting out, create analysis of famous marketing campaigns that were flops and talk about why. Show how you would do it differently and the way it would have changed things. Hire a PR person to get your name out there. Marketing is a guru industry for sure. The more authority you have, the better sales pipeline you'll be able to create. A few ways to grow your business: digital downloads like guides, ebooks, spreadsheets, platform building, YouTube channel, podcast, and there you can create sponsorships, merch, start a subscription community, one-on-one coaching, things like that. You're creating moments for clients. Weddings, sports, news, the world always needs images to tell the story. Things to consider: you'll need to specialize, which can be tough when you're someone who's prone to shiny object syndrome. It can be hard to get started, so you'll probably need to work alongside a seasoned photographer to get established. The job typically has seasonality to it, and you may need to work quickly to meet deadlines. Tips for success: establish a definitive style. Annie Leibovitz versus Horse P. Horse versus Richard Avedon, they all have their own style. You'll need to develop a solid portfolio and marketing strategy that pulls people in and makes them say, that's exactly the way I want my thing to look. Say no to the wrong projects. It's easy to say yes to a gig that's outside your wheelhouse when funds are tight, but the way your vision translates may cause you more RSD and harm than it's worth in the end. Don't buy the shiny object unless it sets your brand apart. That is easier said than done when there's so much cool camera tech out there. But why would you buy a GoPro to help your high fashion shoot? What would a drone do that would make engagement photos easier? Camera equipment is infamously spendy, so think about the reason before the purchase before you buy it. If you want it because you want it, welcome to the world of everyone else. You'll really need to control your emotional spending triggers in this business. Ways to grow your business. on-demand printing partnerships, teaching photography courses, tabletop portfolio books, platform building, YouTube sponsorships, ad rev, things like that. You're the one other entrepreneurs come to when there's a problem that needs solved. You're the expert authority and can take an unbiased look at a company and understand what it takes for them to succeed. Some things to consider. You're not going to be popular around the water cooler. Remember the consultants in office space? Yeah, even if you're not there to chop employee counts, you'll still be side-eyed by people worried you're going to take their job. So it'll be difficult for people with RSD or natural people-pleasing tendencies. Speaking of, you'll need to overcome your tendency to people-please. Some CEOs will hire consultants who are just yes men, and you'll need to suss that out before taking a gig. Other CEOs will hire a consultant because they want the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And that takes a confidence that many people find hard to muster, especially when the truth is a hard pill to swallow. You'll need to establish boundaries. Do you execute plans or just coach departments through them? Do you monitor data or just analyze it when a project closes? Scope creep is notorious in consulting. Set in stone the things you'll do and the things you won't. Make sure your contract is solid. Tips for success: your reputation is your best business card. Establish results for clients and siphon as many good selling points for your consultancy as possible. You may have projects that fail, and that's okay, but you'll need to find ways to protect yourself and your reputation in those situations. Establish protocols for communication. How do you prefer to be contacted? How long will it take you to respond? And who will you take calls from? CEOs can get pretty needy, so you'll need to establish that early on. Develop your analysis skills. You'll need to have a keen eye for finding that data point out of 1,000 that tells you the full story, which can be hard if you're not interested in the project or are someone who doesn't enjoy diving into the nitty-gritty. Have a good support system in place. Since you'll be working one-on-one with head honchos, you'll need to have a good poker face for criticism and misunderstandings. So giving yourself that support system is always a benefit. Ways to grow your business: digital downloads like guides, ebooks, etc., creating subscription communities, certification creation for other consultants, and platform building. Electricians, plumbers, handy persons, you'll be the one building the thing or fixing it. Things to consider: seasonality is a big part of the job. There's different niches: residential versus commercial, new construction versus repairs, all have different pros and cons. You'll rarely do them all, so you will need to specialize. It's a hard business to stick to the older you get, and can be hard for people with poor impulse control to squirrel away money during good times. But that will be clutch for you, especially when your business is seasonal. And the good part is you'll be one of the last businesses standing against AI. Tips for success: learn how to stop impulse spending now to combat seasonality revenue flows. Bring in a marketing person ASAP. You'll really need to stand apart quickly to break into your area. Have a good website set up that lets people book appointments or consults without calling you. Consider adding subscription services that reduce your seasonality. Service contracts, upgrades, smart appliance management, whatever. Ways you can grow your business: platform building, homeowner 101 courses, how-to download guides. You'll build websites for companies that want to sell online. I think it's a really good gig because it lets you be creative without many of the issues creatives like writers and artists are dealing with as AI grows. Yes, AI can take your work too, but I don't think it's as prevalent. Things to consider: you will need to stay on top of platform changes and add-ons, SMS marketing plugins, shipping requirement changes, tax collection, payment security, all that stuff. It may be hard to stand out at first, so you'll probably have to build a few dummy sites as portfolio pieces. Success will require networking. Some people like the work because they feel they won't have to deal with many people, but honestly, the most successful devs are the ones with connections in marketing, sales, and have good social media presences. A few tips for success: create subscription services, update maintenance, new product additions per year, things like that. That'll help level out your revenue streams. Specialize in a platform. Shopify and others have certifications and partnerships with devs who specialize in building their websites, and that's a good way to network. Consider specializing in a niche. It can get boring later on, but it would be a good way to stand out. What if you were the Shopify website builder for fashion designers or fitness coaches. You'd have a dedicated industry and could build a massively hungry customer base who can see your services and know your work. A few ways to grow your business: e-course, platform build, custom app development for the industry, subscription communities, things like that. The beauty industry is always in demand, and owning a salon lets you tap different niches without having to do it all yourself. You can bring in lash techs, have makeup artists, feature one of the premier hair colorists in the area. It's all up to your imagination. Things to consider: this is not my wheelhouse, so feel free to chime in the comments if you have experience in this. You'll need to establish a name for yourself, so you most likely will have to start at the bottom to get your reputation going. You'll probably have to work off hours, which can be hard if you've got kids or a partner. You'll need to navigate a lot of other creatives, which can get difficult when you're trying to establish routines while relying on others' availability. Some tips for success: decide early on who your client is. Soccer moms and punk rock software devs will probably have different needs and budgets. Who are you catering to, and how can you make your salon not only feel welcoming, but stand out as the option for clients like them? Hire an attorney before you lease a chair. Contracts are key when your reputation is affected by someone else's work. Make sure your contracts are fair to you and your stylists. Don't work on handshakes, and don't let yourself get into a situation where you've got to establish policies retroactively. Network. Find good photographer, social media manager, and website builder. All of these people can make you stand out so much faster than you might think, and they can be well worth the investment. Ways you can grow your business: digital downloads like how to style for X event, e-courses like, Wedding Makeup 101, and platform building. You're writing the novels that get read. You're the one in the coffee shop, the woodsy cabin, or the busy park enjoying the ambiance while creating the next big creative piece that takes the world by storm. A few things to consider: author is different from freelance writer, so know the difference, especially if you plan to take on client work. You'll need to market yourself well and establish a community quickly, especially if you want to get your work published by a large house and not just self-published. It can be lonely and might be tempting to reach out to your readers when you're feeling down, but you need to establish boundaries that keep your down moments away from them. It's fine to be authentic and seek support, but letting fans be your crush can backfire and can create a parasocial relationship that becomes toxic pretty fast. Tips for success: network and find other authors to help keep you sane. You'll need to find ways to break monotony, writer's block, and feelings of isolation that aren't pulled from your fan base. Easier said than done, believe me, but find ways to make better creative routines to keep you writing. Is there a ritual or a habit that can get you into writing mode every day? Understand this is a hard road to walk, especially now with AI. How will you weather the upheaval to keep yourself relevant? Finally, shut the fuck up on social. See J.K. Rowling. Ways to grow your business: digital downloads, Patreons, platform building, and e-courses. Coaches are different from consultants in that you're essentially a niche-related therapist. You help your clients find solutions to problems themselves by talking it out, whereas consultants tell their clients what to do, when, and why. Things to consider: you'll need to have good sales skills, whether you're specializing in fitness, business, parenting, whatever. You'll need to have an established method for attracting leads and closing deals. Coaching lets you be creative without needing the buy-in, which makes it really good for people with ADHD. You'll help solve problems in a niche that you have expertise in, but it also lets you peek inside another person's world and experiences without needing to DIY it. You'll need to learn how to ask good questions, which is easier said than done, because you'll need to toe the line between being provocative and being helpful. Tough questions are hard to ask, especially when you're someone with RSD and people-pleasing tendencies. A few tips for success: establish your platform before you offer coaching. You need to learn what problems your community faces before you could promise to help them solve it. Build a sales funnel. I have seen too many coaches just have a book a call button on their site and that's it. Talking to someone for the first time is hard, so you've got to get people to trust you first. How can you establish that trust that lets people take down their walls and makes them willing to reach out? Learn how to control oversharing. If your ADHD is like mine, then you have a tendency to share way more than necessary on a consultation call. It can have a double-edged pronged effect where you're overwhelming the person with too much information and have given them zero reason to follow through by hiring you. Learn how to give enough information that leaves them feeling empowered so that they could do it without you, but hiring you to be their coach would be the straightest path to achieving their goals. Ways to grow your business: digital downloads, subscription communities, platform building, e-courses, mastermind or group coaching, certification creation for other coaches. Those are just a couple. Selling secondhand products online or at markets. It's great because it feeds that need to constantly be on the hunt for the next best thing without becoming a hoarder. Well, unless you can't sell them. Some things to consider. Some people have a negative opinion of the job. There are people who feel like you're profiting off of someone else's loss, especially if you buy from thrift stores. I think that's an unfair representation, but nonetheless, it's still one you may face and may need to handle criticism about. You'll need to have room for storage to handle your inventory. Your family or your roommates might not be big fans of your clothing piles overtaking the living room. You'll need to put spending bumpers up and curb impulsive spending. Some people get into trouble in this line because they buy something without doing the right research or inspection beforehand. They just think it's going to sell, so they buy it without actually looking into it. Tips for success: pick a niche and stick to it. Yes, thrift stores and flea markets have unlimited potential, but the expertise you'll need to have to differentiate between uranium glass and reproductions can be hard to keep track of when you're buying depression glass, laptops, obscure fashion brands, and mislabeled Italian shoes. Use multiple platforms, but keep your inventory organized. Etsy, eBay, Mercari, Facebook Marketplace. There are tons of ways to sell things online now. The more you diversify your platforms, the faster your inventory will turn over. However, you'll need to stay on top of your inventory availability so that you don't accidentally sell something that's already out of stock. Learn how to use your camera. Even your phone is good enough for flipping things online, but only if you know how to use it. Take a basic photography course for the camera you own and practice. Take multiple shots. Use different light settings and find the ways to make your products pop. Think of it like you need to replace the in-person buying experience as best you can with your visuals. Use social media. Social selling is huge in the flipping world, so use that to your advantage. A few ways to grow your business: creating digital buying guides, platform building, e-courses on restoration or selling, etc. You're a maker, getting your hands dirty. You're the creator and the brains behind the artistic machine that makes beautiful things for beautiful people. Things to consider: it's a hard road if you don't take criticism well. Not everyone will love your art, and you have to learn to be okay with that. The market is fierce. Look at any creative pursuit out there and you'll find it's a saturated market. You'll need to establish a specific style and stick to it. It can be difficult to keep being the same type of artist. I was hesitant to put Artisan on this list for this very reason. It can be hard to keep going when you've turned your passion into a job, grinding the same wheel every day, making the same thing over and over just to satisfy sales. You'll need to find ways to keep your creativity going without completely alienating your audience. A few tips for success: it has to become a business in your brain. You'll need product launches, partnerships, inventory storage, accounting, customer service, marketing, etc. You can't just create art and hope it sells. There has to be a strategy behind it, which is why being a successful artisan is so difficult. Put a line in the sand early. This is who you are and what you do. No, you don't make shabby chic lampshades. You specialize in Victorian reproductions only. No, you won't make an anime character of your customer's boyfriend. You make watercolor pet portraits. The sooner you publicize what you do, and just as importantly, what you don't do, the faster your audience will find you. Learn how to price your products. You'll constantly feel like you're either over or undervaluing your work, especially if you pick the wrong ways to sell, like high fashion at a street fair. If you want to make a few bucks selling soaps at a craft fair, then price your soaps accordingly. But if you want to retire at 40 and you're 35, craft fair pricing isn't going to cut it. You'll need to establish yourself as a professional artisan selling premium priced products to an exclusive clientele. As an example, Sierra Trudon versus Yankee Candle. And a perfect example of this is I had a friend who was a wonderful high-end jewelry designer. He made the most beautiful pieces, but he started selling them at craft fairs and street fairs around New York, and it just wasn't the right audience, so he wasn't having success there. So whenever I have clients who are artisans that are thinking about that, I bring that up as the perfect example. You need to know what your pricing goals are and find the market for that pricing strategy, rather than trying to fit into a world that doesn't want you, for lack of a better phrase. Ways to grow your business: wholesale account relationships, dropship partnerships, custom bulk orders like wedding favors, subscription services, platform building, e-courses, and digital downloads. But picking the business you want to go into is only half the battle. You've got to know how to keep your shiny object senses in check so that you give it the best chance it has to be successful. So click on this video to learn my favorite methods for creating consistently successful businesses when you've got ADHD. I'll see you over there.